Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So I try, as you guys know, to just bring you the facts. I had to try not to be hyperbolic in the way that I describe things and how I explain them, especially when it comes to factual data like polling. So when I say that this news was like a bomb going off in the MAGAverse, I mean that sincerely. Before I get into all these juicy details, though, please do me a big favor. Hit the subscribe button below this video. It is free, really, truly helps the show. I greatly appreciate it. So here's what all is going down. Let me remove this banner. Rasmussen released the results of a poll that they conducted recently. They surveyed just over 1,200 voters between the ages of 18 and 39. Holy shit balls, you guys. Okay, it is not what they were expecting. And for those who aren't familiar, Rasmussen, they are basically a MAGA polling group. Their polls almost always favor the Republican Party, favor Trump. So for this particular pollster to come back with these results that I'm going to share with you, it is truly jaw-dropping. In fact, hardcore Trump humper Glenn Beck posted about this on Twitter. And I'm going to read you his post because he summed up all of the results very nicely. I had to split it into two sections because he shared so much, but here's the first thing. So he wrote, quote, "A shocking number of young Trump voters support socialist policies, a democratic socialist president in 2028, and UN supervision of America, according to a new poll from Rasmussen and Justin T. Haskins. They polled young American voters 18 to 39 and discovered, first, approval rating for Trump was higher than expected, 48%. 76% of young voters agree that major industries like healthcare, energy, and big tech should be nationalized to give more control and equity to the people. This includes a strong majority of young Republicans. 53% would like to see a Democratic socialist candidate win the 2028 presidential election. This includes 35% of those who said that they voted for Trump in 2024. Let me repeat that for you. 35% of the participants in this poll who voted for Trump said that they would like to see a Democratic socialist in 2028. He goes on to say, among the voters who say they want a socialist president, 31% said the main reason for their support was because housing costs are too high. 55% said they would support a law that would confiscate Americans' excess wealth, including things like second homes, luxury cars, and private boats, in order to help young people buy a home for the first time. That's how desperate people are. 59% support a proposal for a new constitutional amendment that would give the United Nations the authority to oversee the Supreme Court and the presidency to ensure that Americans' rights are being protected. 59%, you guys, almost 6 out of 10 of these young people want the UN to ensure our rights. And the polling results continued. So he, like I said, it was just too long for me to put all in one. So he went on to say, quote, 40% said they support fines or legal penalties for Americans who refuse to use others' preferred gender pronouns. That one really shocked me, because I am a hardcore leftist progressive, and I don't even agree with that. I think, you're a shitty person if you don't call someone by the name that they prefer and the pronouns they prefer, but I don't think people should be penalized. I think we should uphold, free speech in this country. It goes on to say 39% support a constitutional amendment that would abolish the U.S. Congress and replace it with a National Citizens Assembly selected by lottery. Only 24% of young Americans rated their financial situation as doing well, which is the whole crux of the matter. The two most popular responses were getting by and struggling. So of the people who are not doing well, their top responses were that they're just getting by and they're struggling. It goes on to say 59% said America should be the most powerful country in the world. So not what you would expect, right? 59% said that they support imposing a maximum income cap for individuals. Gen Z voters were more socialistic authoritarian than millennials, and they want to burn, or this is Glenn Beck's opinion, they want to burn the whole system down because we aren't offering better solutions and speaking their language. This must change. I mean, I will agree with Glenn Beck on that, right? I mean, this was shocking. This was really shocking. And Trump and the Republicans, they keep blathering on about how, oh, Gen Z is in the bag for MAGA. You know, they hate the Democratic Party. We all hate the Democratic Party. I will vote for the Democratic Party in the midterms, and I hate them. I hate the party apparatus. I hate the establishment. So that part is true. What they're not understanding is that just because people hate the Democratic Party, it doesn't mean they're not going to vote for them. But here's the thing. Only the traditional establishment Dems are the ones that need to go, right? And young voters are hungry for change, so they will vote for whatever party is going to help them. That's what I need the left to understand. If you fall for this lie that Donald Trump and his Trump humpers are putting out there and saying, oh, see all these young people, they're just all for authoritarianism and they're all for fascism and, you know, they're a lost cause, blah, blah, blah. So we got to go for the centrist and the moderates and, you know, the never Trumpers. You guys don't understand. They're going to vote for whatever candidate is offering to shake things up. Whatever candidate is against the establishment. That's why so many liberals don't understand why these people voted for Trump. They thought that that's who he was. They thought he was an outsider. They thought he was going to change things. He was going to drain the swamp. He was going to go in and destroy the establishment and the elitists. They weren't aware of his true nature, of who he really is. And that's why, you know, I see so many comments from liberals saying, oh, you're making excuses for them. No, when they were 10 years old, when Donald Trump, you know, was first in power, some of these 20-something-year-olds, they weren't paying attention. They weren't living it in the way that we all were. They weren't experiencing the heinousness of Donald Trump as we all were, if that's even a word. And this is why I keep saying Gavin Newsom, the Pete Buttigieg of the world, they will never get this demographics vote. They will never get the vote of the young nihilists who are sick and tired of the same old, same old. This is why I'm so concerned that liberals are just not getting it. Take a listen to what one of these pollsters, this is a Rasmussen pollster, after these results came out, he was on Steve Bannon's network. It wasn't Steve Bannon interviewing him, but take a listen to what this guy had to say. His name is Mark Mitchell.
Republicans are in a really bad spot. Now, you've probably heard a lot of really good headlines about the future of the Democrat Party, about how their brand is in the tank, about how over the long term they're going to hemorrhage electoral votes as the 2030 census catches up with all of the movements that happened post-COVID, how we might fix the 2020 census, and that might give another 15 seats back to the Republicans, and also all this redistricting stuff. Now, that's all correct, but the problem is that Trump still has to have the Republicans win November of 2026. And, you know, the bad news is that every single major pollster right now has the Democrat Party picking up seats in the House and most likely winning the majority. Then the biggest thing that I can come up with is, well, maybe people didn't like the One Big Beautiful Bill because the messaging kind of stunk, or maybe people were upset about the fact that we were getting involved with stuff with Israel. But probably the biggest one is the Epstein thing, and I've lost a ton of followers calling Trump out for the way he handled that, because it was kind of a canary in the coal mine that maybe we aren't getting the massive redress of voters' grievances that we thought we were going to get with Trump. And our list of legislation is essentially the One Big Beautiful Bill, and that's about it. The problem is November of 26, and I don't see a lot of action out of Republicans right now at all. It seems like they think they're just going to coast through and maintain a House majority on Trump's coattails. Yes. And let me tell you, that is not the case. There's a lot of headlines out there about how conservative the Zoomers are. And they are not. Like you said, they are economic populists. They are not happy with the way the system is. 65% of them think that it's completely unfair to young people. And the numbers are horrifying. 17% unemployment rates. Half of them are single. Of the people who are single, only 35% of them are trying to find life partners. Only half of them think that they're confident that they'll own a home. The Republicans, they're down 16 points on the generic ballots with 18 to 29-year-olds. They're absolutely going to get crushed. They think that this like granddaddy's laissez-faire conservatism where the government just steps out of the way and the Laffer curve and all that stuff is going to work for these people, and it's not. These people are hurting and they want like change really fast. And if they're not going to get it out of the Trump administration, they're going to go into the arms of Bernie and AOC. That's a fact.
So again, guys, that was Mark Mitchell. He is all in for Trump, and he is warning Republicans. Here's the thing. Democrats need to heed this warning as well, because if we put up another milquetoast generic Democrat who promises, I'm going to nibble around the edges, I'm going to be moderate, I'm going to try to win over the never-Trumpers by not being too radical and not shaking things up on a financial basis. I'm not talking about the transgender. I'm not talking about all of the culture war nonsense bullshit. I'm talking about financially. I'm talking about economics. I'm talking about changing the economic structure in this country. I'm talking about taxing billionaires, really taxing them, not giving them tax breaks, but getting rid of all the loopholes that they exploit so that they have to pay less taxes than your average nurse or your average teacher or a firefighter. I'm talking about really turning the tide in this country so that average Americans can make a living and buy a home and get married if they want to. I'm not saying, buying a home and getting married and having kids, that's the be all end all. But for the people who want that, they should be able to achieve it. They should know that it's doable, that it's achievable, right? If we nominate another one of these, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, typical run-of-the-mill Democrats, establishment-coded Democrats, we will end up in the political wilderness for decades to come. Whoever steps up with a bold message to take down the uber wealthy and to crack corporate skulls, to, slap them in the ass with actual taxation that helps to bring down the debt, to fund healthcare for all, to make it more affordable in this country, that is the candidate who will win in 2028. And they will win in the 2026 midterms. The candidates who are talking about economic populism. But Democrats are not guaranteed these voters. Just because they're pissed at Trump, just because they're ditching him, doesn't mean that they're going to be excited to vote for any run-of-the-mill Democrat. This is why I get so infuriated and I get sick to my stomach when I see liberals fawning over Gavin Newsom and I see the polling that shows that he's leading among Democratic candidates for 2028. If you want to lose the next presidential election and every election for the next couple decades, by all means, vote for Gavin Newsom. Vote for him in the primary. Make him the candidate. I will not be joining you, because I actually do care about the future of the Democratic Party and our country. And you know, there is a wild card now with this whole thing, with this shooting and killing of an assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday. That's the wild card. You know, he had the ear of a lot of young people. He helped to sway a lot of those young people to vote for Trump. Is this now going to make them more, you know, like dug in and radicalize them for the Republican Party? I don't know. You know, could that have played a part in why he was shot and killed? Was somebody purposely trying to do that? I don't know. We'll have to find out. But in the meantime, here's more negative polling news for Trump and the Republicans. Take a look at this. So this was put out by Morning Consult. They are also usually more favorable to Trump and the Republicans. Their recent polling, though, shows Trump with a 52% disapproval rating and 45% approval. As I said the other day, though, the really telling part here is the independent disapproval numbers. So as you guys can see here, 60% of independents disapprove of how Trump is doing his job. Only 33% approve. So that is basically a complete reversal from where he started his presidency. And then check out these polling numbers that were shared on CNN. This was not CNN polling, but this was shared on their network. Check this out.
CBS News poll, look at that. He's 12 points underwater. You want to go over to NBC? You want a different network? You can go to a different network, but it's the exact same story. 14 points underwater, 180 days in a row he has been underwater. What has changed since February, which was the last full month in which he was above ground? Well, take a look here. Trump's net approval rating among age 18 to 29. We're looking at the CBS News poll, but it holds true in the average as well. He was +2 back in late February. Look at where he is now. My God, that is a 32-point drop since the beginning of this year. How about Hispanics? He was at -6, a little bit underwater, but not too bad. But look at where he is now, -34 points. These, of course, were two groups that he exceeded expectations with back in the 2024 election. On all the key issues of the day, he is underwater, Jessica. No wonder you can't survive in a presidency having a positive net approval rating when you're underwater on all of these different issues.
Yeah. So again, Trump and the Republicans are in a weakened position right now, but Democrats cannot sit back. They can't just wait for the voters to come running back to the party. The lesser of two evils BS is old and it's tired and people are done with it, including me. So we will see what happens, guys. But yeah, this went off like a bomb on the MAGA right, because it just shows you all of these people are not voting for Trump. There are a lot who are voting for Trump because they are racist, they are bigots, they are misogynists, but there are a hell of a lot of people who are they're like the metaphor I used before, they are drowning, and they will trust anyone who is throwing them a rope, anyone who's throwing them a lifeline, a vest, anything that's going to keep them from drowning. So Democrats need to step up and be that party. They need to stop with the centrist bullshit of, oh, we can't look too crazy, we can't look too extreme, we don't want to piss off our wealthy donors by actually taxing them. No, step the fuck up. This is the time, this is the last chance we're going to have with these younger generations, with the Gen Z and with the Alpha generation. This is the last chance we're going to have for the next couple decades. I'm telling you right now, because they are learning, they are watching and listening, and they see what the Democratic Party is doing. They see how weak and feckless they are, how they don't fight for the average Americans, how they just let Donald Trump steamroll them. Nobody wants to side with the loser, with the weakling, right? And they're going to see if the Democrats get it. Are they going to wake up and put up a real candidate? And no, I'm sorry, I like AOC. I think she's a good person. I think she wants all the right things, but you have to look at it through this lens. Is AOC going to stand toe-to-toe with someone like a Vladimir Putin? Is she going to step up and do what needs to be done and kick him in the balls? That's what people ask themselves. I'm sorry, but it's just a fact. And no, I mean, she would probably not take a hard line with somebody like Putin. Right? I mean, then again, you know, so that's going to appeal or not appeal to some people. A lot of the younger people are like, look, we need to just be non-interventionists, which is what Trump promised them, which he's now totally, you know, done a total 180 and hasn't followed through. But they want to be done with all the foreign wars. For me, you guys know, I 100% believe we need to stop funding Israel, stop giving them weapons, stop funding them, be done with them. They have proven to be the world's bullies, punching everyone in the nose and then running to America to protect them. I'm sick of it. Not when they have free healthcare, free college tuition, and all kinds of shit, and we don't. On the other hand, I am not someone who thinks that we need to or should abandon Ukraine. That's a different situation. So anyway, I will let you all know when I hear more. But yeah, like I said, this whole thing with Charlie Kirk's assassination, this could upend everything. This could be a big game changer. And again, makes me a little suspicious. All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.